Poor God Fu Jin times God of wealth and God of war Gong YouqianGong Yu, 3 tones, Qian, 2 tones, gangs times theme park times funny times financial obsession times double strength times divine beings times live streaming heavenly calamity, countless gods falling into the human world as a poor god. Fu Jin stood in front of the pancake and fruit stall and touched his pocket. One was empty, and the other was also empty. Fu Jin has been poor in the heavenly realm for so many years, and now that he has come to this world, he swears to be with Xiao Qian forever. Then Fu Jin decisively entered the entertainment industry. Trainee Program. Others sing and dance rap, pay today to sell SnacksConcert. Others sing, Fu Jin becomes a scalper walking on the red carpet. Others follow the model's footsteps, and Fu Jin becomes a bodyguardLove. Synopsis. Others are sweet and sweet, but today is the matchmaker at the stage of setting up a stall on a celebrity street. Fu Jin was unintentionally abducted by human traffickers. Fu Jin opened the door to a new world. The gang is so rich. So Fu Jin began to pull the pockets of the gang leader every day, and then explore the life of the human trafficker's small treasury. Later on, Fu Jin felt that she had almost taken all the money and cooperated with the police to end the gang. Unexpectedly, the police uncle confiscated her money and even sent her a banner. Fu Jin wanted to cry without tears, so when the chaebol appeared on Love Zong, Fu Jin knelt down decisively. Do you have a partner? No car, no house, no savings, but your personal signature can be written in your name. Do you want to have no worries about food and clothing, and become rich overnight? Don't you need to work hard? Then stay with me, let's think together. Should we announce it first, or should I spread the rumors first? One interview. Reporter. May I ask if you prefer a lady style or a cute style? Zaibatsu. Crazy Sheep. Chapter 1. First coming to the human world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. No logical content, please don't use your brain when reading. In August, the sky changes as the wind blows away, and the sunlight quickly disappears. Dark clouds roll in, and soon the sky becomes overcast. Pedestrians on the road were in a hurry, afraid of getting their clothes wet by the upcoming heavy rain, and no one paid attention to the noise coming from the streets and alleys. Suddenly, a thunderbolt fell and a bright light briefly illuminated the alley. I saw a young girl standing deep in the alley. Her skin was snowy, her eyebrows and eyes were bright, and her long red hair was swayed by the gentle breeze. She was incredibly beautiful. The girl looked back at the moment of lightning, and a smile suddenly spread, like a rose blooming quietly in the dark of the night. It was dangerous and beautiful, unforgettable. After the lightning flash, the girl's standing position heard the sound of speaking. The voice is clear and pleasant, but the words spoken are seriously inconsistent with the girl's appearance. With a loud bang in the sky, I made a brilliant debut. Master, you don't need to pose anymore. No one here is even looking at you. Fu Jin was exposed by Xiao Qian, and the smile on his face that had landed safely in the human world suddenly disappeared. What kind of big truth are you talking nonsense about? If someone were here at this moment, they would find several bamboo-shaped jade ear clips on the contour of the girl's left ear in front of them. But in fact, it was a bamboo joint insect raised by Fu Jin, named Xiao Qian. Xiao Qian has been with Fu Jin for hundreds of years and has already developed spiritual intelligence. There is no problem with transforming into a form or using small spells when speaking normally. But one person and one insect have just arrived at the human world through the Jiuchongtian Tai, and they are more or less injured. It is difficult for Xiao Qian to transform into a human form, so he can only stay on Fu Jin's ear for now. When Fu Jin slowly walked out of the alley with the grass, there were not many people on the street anymore. Everyone went to find a place to take shelter from the rain. But after Fu Jin walked out of the alley, the dark clouds in the sky quickly dissipated, as if the strange thunder had never appeared before, leaving no trace. After arriving on the street, Fu Jin used his divine sense to transmit his voice in order to avoid passers-by hearing him talking to Xiao Qian and treating him as a lunatic who was talking to himself. "Little grass, what time is it?" "At 3 o'clock, you are almost late." Upon hearing that he was about to be late, Fu Jin turned around and returned to the alley. She originally wanted to see what the streets of the human world looked like, but according to the current situation, it was too late and could only teleport. At first, Fu Jin's plan was perfect, but unfortunately, reality is very emotional. After hearing the news that the demon army had started attacking Jiuchongtian, Fu Jin began preparing for the lower world. When the demon army attacked Jiuchongtian, Fu Jin had already sat next to the Zhu Xian with Xiao Qian. But unfortunately, at this time, Zhu Xian, who was supposed to be able to create the modern world every 5 times, couldn't create the modern world for some reason. Fu didn't want to go to ancient times without a TV or phone, so he had to sit next to Zhu Xian and keep scrolling. It wasn't until the demon lord was almost behind Fu Jin that he was able to brush it out. Without even time to think, Fu Jin dodged and jumped down, leaving only the demon lord who almost caught Fu Jin standing in place with a black face. Fu Jin is very dissatisfied with Zhu Xian, who has taken up his time, but now he has no other choice. A bright light flashed through the pitch-black alley, and when Fu Jin reappeared, it was already in the toilet compartment of a building. Fu Jin held his head high and slowly walked out of the toilet under the constant gaze of the cleaning lady. Fu Jin felt smug and said, "How about it? Sister's beauty can't even resist being a janitor." "Xiao Qian. You walked out of the men's restroom." "Fu Jin. A few more steps forward will bring you to the place where Hunger Company is recruiting trainees." Chapter 2. I Can Magic. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In recent years, trainee programs have become increasingly popular, but Hunger Company does not yet have artists in this field, so it plans to directly organize a program that can not only cultivate trainees but also increase the popularity of the company and artists. The trainees from other companies are still newcomers after their debut, and the trainees who debuted through this program have already accumulated a group of fans. This is called winning at the starting line. Fu Jin noticed this program when he was in the sky. After all, according to the immortal code of conduct formulated by the immortal master, as immortals, they cannot create currency or other things out of thin air. And that ghost code also stipulates a series of other regulations that cannot disrupt the order of the lower world, and violations will result in varying degrees of punishment. So after Fu Jin arrived in the human world, he was like a waste. If it's other immortals, it's okay. Even if there's no currency in the human world, they can bring some porcelain and jewelry from the sky to replace it. But unfortunately, Fu Jin is a poor god. The poor god, the poorer the god, the stronger. In recent years, the war has been tight, and the immortal lord confiscated all of Fu Jin's property in order to maintain his fighting power, allowing him to truly become penniless. Through observation during this period in the sky, Fu Jin found that being a celebrity is the most profitable profession. So, at this point, the trainee program that manages food, housing, and ultimately repays money has become the best choice for paying today. The initial exam was online, and Fu Jin successfully passed the interview with a broken chest stone recorded on his phone in Tianting. He also received a ticket for the interview. What Fu Jin needs to do now is not to be rejected in the interview. But the problem is, Fu Jin currently has no talent to showcase. The shattered stone in Fu Jin's chest was completed using the golden body spell, but he just forcefully jumped to execute the immortal platform. Fu Jin injured his spiritual meridian, and now he can only use some simple spells. Moreover, the scene did not look like there was a big stone that could shatter Fu Jin. Due to helplessness, Fu Jin had to consider it on sight. How about playing fast board? A girl went up and played fast board. Sigh, I was actually taken first, but there was a rope on the scene. How about performing a jump rope yourself? A girl went up and performed a fancy jump rope. So. Really can't you go and break the apples on the judging plate yourself? Another girl went up and broke open the apple with her bare hands. Fu Jin. Xiao Qian. How beautiful. Master, why don't you laugh? Is there something on your mind? Others have already used the talents that came to mind. Fu Jin stayed in the corner, thinking and thinking, even though his brain cells were almost dead, he couldn't come up with a suitable talent performance. Seeking help from Xiao Qian said. You can perform defecation anywhere regarding this, Fu Jin stated. No one but you knows how to pee or defecate anywhere. The poor bamboo stick insect has received 10,000 critical hits. It is just a bug, why do you have such great malice towards a bug? As the number of people in front continued to decrease, Fu Jin had already decided to lie flat and lay down. He couldn't sing or dance on his own, and other strange things had already been performed by others. There was really nothing he could do. The advantage of being shameless is that even if you don't know any talent, you cannot be afraid of stage. After it was Fu Jin's turn, he walked up to the front of the judges with his head held high and his height of 1.7 meters suddenly stepped out of his 1.8 meter aura. In front of Fu Jin sat 3 judges, each of whom had a small sign with their name written on it. Sitting in the middle is the main reviewer, with deputy reviewers on both sides. 2 cameras are placed on the reviewer's table, and cameras are also placed on all 4 sides of the room. Chapter 3, Please do not attempt to seduce the examiner. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The chief judge, Nanha, has the same gorgeous red hair as Fu Jin, and is a popular student used by the organizers to attract traffic. At this moment, he is writing something on paper without looking up and says. Name. Pay today. Self. Introduction, with sound limbs and intact facial features, able to play with smartphones, and knows how to run home in the afternoon. Upon hearing Fu Jin's absurd self-introduction, Nanha wanted to lift his head and say something, but suddenly froze when he saw Fu Jin, and even accidentally knocked over the glass at hand. I saw the girl in front of me with a cold and white face, so beautiful that there was no smoke or fire. However, her eyes were full of aggressive colors, seductive and lustful. Coupled with her bright red long hair, it was indescribable and captivating. She was beautiful, bold, and delicate, not easy to approach. Despite wearing the most ordinary white top and denim shorts, he surpassed everyone Nanha had ever seen in the entertainment industry. But at least Nanha has been struggling in the entertainment industry for so many years, and has seen anything in the world. He quickly realized. Self-introduction is not about introducing this. Just about introducing your resume. Fu Jin was stunned for a moment, didn't understand, and started calling Xiao Qian. Xiao Qian, what is a resume? Actually, Xiao Qian doesn't quite understand, but playing with a swollen face and pretending to be fat. It means identity. Identity. After thinking for a moment, Fu Jin realized that he wasn't in the sky right now, so he shouldn't be considered a fairy. That's right, grassroots people. What? Nanha had some doubts about what he had heard. What I mean is, my resume is grassroots. Grassroots people. Nanha stared at Fu Jin's face carefully, hoping to see a hint of joking, but not at all. Fu Jin's expression was very serious, and his eyes were firm as if he wanted to join the Communist Party. Nanha looked at Fu Jin's bewitching face and silently accepted in his heart that Fu Jin's resume was a grassroots citizen. In fact, his intention was to ask Fu Jin which college he graduated from and whether he had won any awards during his time at school. However, Nanha looked at Fu Jin and said, forget it. If these things are too big, he will check again later. Do you have any special skills? Wait, don't tell me you have long legs. After Nanha finished speaking, he couldn't help but glance at Fu Jin's leg. Don't worry, it's indeed long. Fu Jin didn't understand why the main judge thought this way, but just when Nanha accidentally knocked over the water glass, she had already found her own talent to perform. My specialty is magic performance. Master, when did you learn magic? I really don't know magic, but I know magic, please start your performance. After Nanha finished speaking, he quietly looked at Fu Jin, but Fu Jin did not start performing magic. Instead, he walked straight towards Nanha. As Fu Jin walked up to the evaluation table, the deputy reviewer beside him made a sound reminding him. Hegi. It's okay. After walking in front of Nanha, Fu Jin bent down and looked at Nanha, so close that even Nanha could see Fu Jin's trembling eyelashes. The girl's messy hair brushed against Nanha's face, making Nanha's heart itch. Previously, due to hair covering, Nanha did not see any small bamboo worms on Fu Jin's ears. And now, with such close contact, he could clearly see those few small bamboo pieces. The emerald green color and fiery red hair complemented each other, making the girl's skin even fairer. This candidate, please do not attempt to seduce. Before Nanha could finish speaking, he saw Fu Jin's slender wrist lift up, reaching behind his ear, and then conjuring up a few mini playing cards. In the moment when Nanha saw the playing cards clearly, his ears turned red and he wished he could find a crack in the ground to crawl in. So they were just doing magic, where did they think of themselves? It's fortunate that I wanted to say that seduction was not a bad thing at the time, really dying. Fu Jin looked at Nanha with a drooping face and red ears, feeling somewhat puzzled. I am performing magic myself, why don't the judges look up at the performance? Little grass has a headache. Can you take away the skills of your own owner who indulges in promiscuity? Master, please don't hurt me if you don't love me. Fu Jin doesn't quite understand. What didn't I do? I see magicians on their phones performing like this. At this point, Xiao Qian had secretly decided not to let Fu Jin check his phone again in the future. Is that a magic show you're watching? It's a sexy dealer dealing cards online. What's the difference? Isn't it all playing poker? Xiao Qian. How does this explain it? Nanha didn't look up, so Fu Jin had to walk up to the beautiful deputy judge next to him with a playing card. Take one, let me guess. If you guess correctly, you take it off. If you guess correctly, I take it off. Beauty review. Are you playing this big? Nanha. Help, fortunately I didn't look up. Xiao Qian. It knows. Fu Jin looked at the beautiful woman and didn't answer, thinking it was her unwillingness. He then turned his head to look at another male deputy judge. The male deputy judge felt that his quick lowered head resembled the way he avoided the teacher's gaze when the teacher was about to ask a question. I never expected that after so many years of graduation, this skill would be used again. Fu Jin looked at the candidate outside the room as he didn't want the review, so he turned his head and looked at them. The wall separating the room and corridor used for the interview is transparent. When Fu Jin stood in place and looked away, the beautiful women who had originally wished to put their eyes into the house to watch the excitement suddenly dispersed like birds and beasts. Hey today. Nanha thought that with Fu Jin's confident demeanor, it was impossible for him to lose. The last person to take off their clothes can only be the other person participating in the game. It's not really good to let girls play this kind of game. In addition, all the girls here may become public figures, and as a man, he doesn't have so many concerns, so he stood up. Let me play with you. Fu Jin had no idea what she meant by what she said, nor did she understand why others were unwilling to play with her. Now that someone is finally willing, she certainly won't miss this opportunity. Fu Jin folded the 6 cards he was holding upside down and laid them flat on the table. Draw cards. Nanha looked at those cards and couldn't tell there was any problem, but he couldn't rule out that Fu Jin placed 6 identical cards here to watch others undress. After all, based on what Fu has done so far, it's possible that he's really a BT. Can I take a look at these cards first? Fu Jin didn't know that he was already associated with the pervert in Nanha's heart, so he nodded and agreed to his request. Nanha studied the cards over and over again, and after confirming that Fu Jin had not tampered with them, he put them back and casually touched a card. Chapter 4. Strange Humans. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Almost as soon as Nanha saw the contents of the card, Fu Jin blurted out. Plum Blossom 7. As expected, Fu Jin answered correctly. Although her spiritual meridian was damaged, this little spell still couldn't defeat her. Nanha stood still, with a somewhat conflicted expression, and even a hint of grievance on his handsome face. Do you really want to take it off? Take it off, of course I have to take it off. Nanha listened to Fu Jin's words and glanced at her, feeling as if he could clearly see the big words, "You can't afford to play, can you?" in her eyes, which immediately struck him hard. In the hot summer, Nanha only wore simple short sleeves and pants. If he really took off one thing, Nanha didn't look either way, but he could already feel the burning gaze of others. Turn off the camera. Seeing the deputy judge stand up and turn off the camera, Nanha grabbed the hem of his shirt with both hands and quickly took off his shirt. The young man's physique is well managed, thin but fleshy, with a strong and muscular chest exposed to the air. The 6 abdominal muscles at the waist and abdomen are clearly defined, and when looking down, you can vaguely see the sexy mermaid line. Siha. Surrounded by a constant stream of thumping and drooling sounds, only Fu Jin stood there dumbfounded. Nanha was very satisfied with Fu Jin's reaction, thinking that she was shocked by her perfect figure. But in fact, at this moment, Xiao Cao's mind was already filled with sharp bursts of excitement from Fu Jin. Why did he take off his clothes? I know I look good, but he can't be a hooligan either. Xiao Qian was dumbfounded. Didn't you let them take it off? I don't know if taking off is taking off clothes. I thought taking off was a specialized term for magic performances. You don't know the meaning of taking off, don't you know the meaning of one thing? Fu Jin is even more confused. Isn't one thing a quantifier? What can be interesting? Isn't it okay to have a fish, a horse, or a piece of clothing? Xiao Qian looked at Fu Jin's increasingly stunned expression and helped his forehead in a place where no one could see him. It's over, I forgot that my own owner only touched the fish during the Chinese language and literature class. She doesn't know anything at all. Did you not see the sexy dealer take off his clothes when he dealt the cards? Fu Jin feels even more aggrieved than Nanha. The person just finished playing the card video and started charging. You know, I don't have the money, but don't mention it, his small abdominal muscles are quite good. Looking Xiao Qian. What should I do if I want to kill my master? Before Fu Jin could even take a glance, Nanha put his clothes back on. Nanha, dressed in clothes, looked at Fu Jin's fierce eyes, his face flushed, and quickly sat back in the judge's seat. All right, you go out and wait for the notification, next one. Watching Fu Jin walk out honestly, Nanha realized that he was still feeling a bit disappointed. What's going on? When the last interviewee came out, both sides of the corridor were already filled with people. In no time, a deputy reviewer walked out from inside, holding a list in his hand. Zhao Xiaoping, Fang Jin. Fu Jin, Nan Shi, Bu Wei. Those who haven't read their names can leave, and those who have read their names can come with me. As the words fell, the corridor suddenly lost its previous calmness, with some people happy and others worried. But all of this had nothing to do with Fu Jin. Fu Jin ignored the chaos outside the corridor and walked into the room first. Nanha felt a bit uneasy when he saw Fu Jin, the first one to come in. He quietly pretended to be playing with his phone and felt the gaze that Fu Jin was looking at. He froze all over and lowered his head lower. Xiao Qian, why did he click on the phone case? Xiao Qian doesn't quite understand, but he still thinks that Nanha must have his reasons for doing so. Because of love. Fu Jin doesn't understand anymore. Do you love phone cases? Strange humans. Chapter 5. You have no money. You are listening at novel full.audio. As the number of people in the room gradually increased and the corridor was almost finished, Nanha stood up to explain the program arrangement to everyone. Everyone, come and gather here at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow evening. We will depart for the training camp at 7 p.m. You need to bring your luggage, but you don't need to bring bedding. The training camp will provide it, and we need to stay in the training camp for a period of time. Snacks are not allowed in your luggage, and electronic devices need to be submitted after you bring them. That's all for now. The rest of the program will be arranged for you to come tomorrow night, and I will talk to you later. Alright, everyone can go home and pack their luggage now. Fu Jin's body slowly followed the flow out of the building, but her heart had already headed straight to the mall. I want to eat tomatoes on sticks. You don't have money. I want to eat a small cake. You don't have money. I want to eat ice cream. You don't have money. If you don't speak, no one will treat you as mute. The grass stopped talking, but it had successfully destroyed Fu Jin's good mood. Fu Jin had a small face on his shoulder, and as soon as he walked out of the building, he squatted on the ground and remained motionless. Yeah, I don't have any money, just eat shit. Fu Jin squatted half dead next to the building, bored as he watched the bustling traffic beside the building. Xiao Qian, what time is it now? At 4 o'clock, we still have to wait 1 day and 1 night to go to the training camp. However, when you registered before, didn't the registration form indicate that you would receive 2,000 yuan? Yes. Fu Jin thought of this and quickly stood up from the ground. But who should I go to for it? Of course it's looking. Looking. It's looking for that. Who knows who to ask for tomatoes? Fu Jin frowned tightly and heard Xiao Qian stuttering and unable to answer, then slowly squatted back. Next second, Fu Jin, what are you doing here? Upon hearing someone call him, Fu Jin turned his head in a daze and looked up. In the moment he saw Nanha, the excited voice of Xiao Qian came to his ear. You can ask him for it. Yes, ah. Isn't this man the one who manages this program? Fu Jin suddenly stood up again, his amber eyes fixed on Nanha. As soon as Nanha came out of the building, he saw Fu Jin squatting on the side. He had originally intended to go straight, but when he saw Fu Jin suddenly standing up and then squatting down again, he felt something was wrong, and then he said something. Now being looked at by Fu Jin like this, Nanha felt uneasy in his heart, as if he owed him something. What's wrong with you? Fu Jin looked at Nanha and became increasingly angry as he thought. How could he keep his promises? Give me money, I don't have money to buy food anymore. Nanha. How do you feel like it's so natural for Fu Jingguan to ask for money? What money? When I signed up, I saw the advertisement you posted saying, choose the one that pays 2,000 yuan. You didn't even send it. Nanha. Sending money is indeed sending, but it is sent after the program ends, and it is the responsibility of the program team to send it. What is the relationship with oneself? Although he thought so in his heart, Nanha couldn't help but take out his phone as he looked at the girl in front of him with a strong desire in his eyes. Anyway, 2,000 yuan is not a big deal for him. If it's a big deal, we can ask the production team to return it to him. It's not that he wants to add today's VX, add VX, and I will transfer the money to you. Upon hearing his agreement, Fu Jin's eyes lit up instantly. But, Xiao Qian, what is VX? It's the green square you often see when secretly scrolling videos on the Bacchus phone. She has an impression of the green square, but it is only limited to having an impression. I don't have VX. Fu Jin's words startled Nanha. No VX. Do you have payment B? Fu Jin is even more confused. Xiao Qian, what is pay B? A blue square, don't ask, you don't have any of these. Just tell him you don't have a phone and ask him if he can give you cash. Fu Jin honestly listened to Xiao Qian's words. After all, what Xiao Qian said was indeed true. I don't have a phone, can you give me cash? Chapter 6. Home in Jiuchongtian. You are listening at novel full.audio. You don't have a phone. Looking at Fu Jin's sincere expression, Nanha thought for a moment. If he didn't even have 2,000 yuan, it should be because his family conditions were relatively difficult, and it was normal to not have a phone. After all, many children in impoverished areas do not have mobile phones, and not everyone can be born in Rome. With this thought in mind, Nanha's gaze towards Fu Jin was mixed with a hint of pity. So, won't you go home and pack your luggage? Fu Jin's little head turned around. My home is too far away, I don't have any money on me, so I can't go home. After all, her home is in Jiuchongtian, which is indeed far away. She really can't go back now, and she really doesn't have any money. This shouldn't be considered a lie. Nanha really believed it. Are they indeed children from impoverished families? My heart softened, and I remembered what Fu Jin had said earlier about not having enough money to buy food. So Nanha decided to take Fu Jin to eat. Let's go, what do you want to eat? It's your treat today, brother he. Not getting money, but being able to eat delicious food is not a loss. Okay. Thank you, Herg. Knowing the inside story and watching the entire process, little grass. 666 Nanha took out a mask from his pocket and put it on. Then, his assistant handed him a pair of sunglasses and a duckbill cap. After putting them on, Nanha told the assistant next to him that there was no need to follow and he wanted to take Fu Jin with him. Just as he was about to leave, Nanha was stopped by his assistant. The assistant looked at Nanha with a puzzled expression on his face, twisting and twisting. Brother, it's okay for you to go alone. Take a girl with you. What if the paparazzi catches you? Nanha's face showed displeasure and his tone was a bit impatient. I am an actor, not an idol. The assistant knew about Nanha's temper and was most annoyed that others were using him as a public figure to restrict him. Even if they couldn't stop him, they let Nanha take Fu Jin and leave. Two people drove there, and Fu Jin sat in the passenger seat, curious about everything throughout the journey. He would touch and look at everything, and occasionally exclaim in amazement. Xiao Qian, I've been wanting to sit on this thing for a long time. It's really fun, and there's even a TV on it. It's much more comfortable than flying with an imperial sword. Little grass now wishes to transform into a human shape immediately, and it also really wants to ride well. But it doesn't have enough spiritual power now. Master, can you give me some divine power? I also want to take a car. Fu Jin doesn't want to cross, but he doesn't say. We are good brothers, so naturally we should have some blessings and strategies, and share difficulties together, right? Xiao Qian. If you don't want to cross, just say it directly. Our situation is not necessarily impossible, is it? It's not impossible, but it's not impossible. There's nothing we can talk about. Is it impossible? It depends on human factors. We can come up with a solution. We just need to be a little later, right? Me, right. Xiao Qian. Would you like to hear what you are saying? When Fu Jin was arguing with Xiao Qian, Nanha had already driven to the mall. Get off the car, brother will take you to the mall. Okay. Fu Jin got out of the car excitedly and ran towards the direction of the mall. He had already taken several steps, but suddenly realized something was wrong. He didn't have money, so why bother strolling around? Fu Jin turned around and found that Nanha had just got off the car and hadn't taken a few steps yet. Why is my little money moving so slowly? How can this work? Fu Jin immediately ran back to Nanha's side, grabbed his arm, and rushed towards the mall. Nanha's arms were almost falling off when she pulled him, so he grabbed Fu Jin with his back hand and ran into the mall with her, both laughing and crying. Chapter 7. Long-term meal tickets. You are listening at novel full.audio. However, after only 10 minutes in the mall, Fu Jin has already held bingtanghulu in one hand and iced cream in the other. Nanha, who was following behind her, even though he carried a bunch of food in his left hand, his right hand still held onto Fu Jin's hem tightly. Nanha originally led Fu Jin's hand into the mall, but after entering, Fu Jin saw and bought whatever he saw, so he didn't hold his hand anymore. I spent my own money, but ended up not being able to hold someone else's hand. Nanha entrusted Chu Baba, but as soon as he thought that Fu Jin had never seen these things before, he didn't say a word. He just silently helped Fu Jin carry things she couldn't take from behind. But when Fu Jin ran out of Nanha's sight for the third time and was found by Nanha at the place selling fruit, Nanha couldn't bear it anymore. Because he was afraid that Fu Jin would run away and not be able to find him, he had to spare one hand to hold Fu Jin. Fu Jin didn't wear a mask, which was not surprising at all, while Nanha was a handsome figure who could penetrate from his full armament. Coupled with their surprisingly consistent red hair and strange behavior, they attracted many people's attention along the way. Watching Fu Jin devour everything he eats, Nanha inexplicably became interested in these things that he usually doesn't eat, but unfortunately, he wanted to maintain his figure. Are these things really so delicious? How could she eat so delicious? If Fu Jin knew what Nanha was thinking now, he would definitely nod wildly with his stuffed cheeks. Good timing. Chun's really great. At this moment, Nanha is not the only one whose mouth is watering with envy. Oh, no, there is only one person, Nanha, but there is also a worm who is equally greedy. Ah, 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 Fu Jin ignored Xiao Qian and instead turned to look at Nan He. Brother. Nanha immediately responded. What's wrong? Do you want something else to eat? Fu Jin looked at a beverage that had been opened and only taken a sip from a pile of things on Nanha's right hand. I'm a bit choking, brother. I want to have a drink. Nanha instantly understood and handed the drink with a straw inserted to Fu Jin's mouth. Fu Jin happily took a sip and said thank you to Nanha, brother. Then he turned to show off to Xiao Qian. Not only do I not take you with me when I eat, but I also don't take you when I drink. How about hitting me? The grass was almost furious. If it weren't for the divine sense transmission used by the two, the sound it shouted could shatter Fu Jin's eardrums. Ah 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 Fu Jin, you little person. Drinking some horse urine makes you arrogant. Refusing the young master is a matter of life and death. Amidst Xiao Qian's anger, Fu Jin suddenly felt a slight pain in his ear. It was likely that Xiao Qian had bitten him, but Fu Jin was not in a hurry. Xiao Qian, don't do this. I've been bitten by a dog before. If you do this, I'm a bit scared. As soon as he heard Fu Jin's words, Xiao Qian laughed, and a demonic laughter spread throughout Fu Jin's entire brain. Jia jia jia, you know you're scared, so you're right. Jia jia jia, if you're afraid, you'll immediately give me the food. But soon, Xiao Qian couldn't laugh anymore. What do you mean? You call me a dog. Ah, 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 I didn't hear the national essence output behind Xiao Qian, but only heard Nanha's cheerful voice. With the sound of brother, you call out, in the future, if there is a brother who eats, there will be you who drinks. I didn't hear a word from Nanha earlier, only this one. Fu Jin, who was forcibly pulled out of the battle with Xiao Qian, couldn't react at all. His mind couldn't keep up, and he almost went back to read the files. Fortunately, Xiao Qian suggested. What does he mean? He will always treat you to dinner in the future. Do you also deserve it? Fu Jin didn't manage Xiao Qian, she only knew that happiness had descended from heaven. If she really followed what Nanha had just said, wouldn't she have had a long-term meal ticket? Okay. Long live Hiko. Long live the long-term meal ticket. I have a long-term meal ticket, ha ha ha. Isn't this man trying to find himself guilty? He has money and nowhere to spend it, right? After listening to Xiao Cao's words, Fu Jin suddenly realized that he needed to make the meal ticket more comfortable and not let him abandon him when he was angry. He immediately pulled Nanha to find a chair to sit on. Nanha was deeply moved by Fu Jin's behavior and couldn't help but secretly rejoice. With so much food in vain, this product finally has a bit of conscience. And Fu Jin also has his own caution. I sat down to avoid getting tired of long-term meal tickets, not because I was tired. Absolutely not. Chapter 8. Money is capricious, but if there is no money, one will accept their fate. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Fu Jin hasn't stopped talking since he sat down. He has been eating all the time. Nanha is a little worried. Eating so much at once won't cause any stomach problems, will it? But Fu Jin didn't feel like he had eaten too much at all. After finishing the things in his hand again, his gaze began to look at the things in Nanha's hand. Upon seeing that Fu Jin still wanted to eat, Nanha quickly turned his hand back and said, "No, you've eaten too much and can't eat anymore." Fu Jin pursed his lips, feeling unhappy, and pointed his finger towards Nanha's hand. "Look at that popsicle, it must be almost melting. Can I stop eating that popsicle after I finish it?" Nanha looked at Fu Jin's pitiful expression and thought it was just a popsicle, so he agreed. Fu Jin happily ate a chocolate-flavored popsicle, but because the popsicle had been left for too long, Fu Jin only took a few bites and it melted in half. Fu Jin had no choice but to stuff all the remaining popsicles into his mouth. But it was already late, and chocolate stains were everywhere on Fu Jin's white shirt. Fu Jin didn't care about her clothes at all, on the contrary, there was nothing to eat, which made her a bit unhappy. Watching Nanha take the food on guard, Fu Jin smiled and said, "Look up at the sky." Nanha looked up in confusion, what could be in the sky? At the moment he saw the ceiling of the mall, he suddenly realized that he had been tricked. As expected, the next second Nanha's palm softened, and then the sound of Fu Jin's scheme succeeding came to his ear. "There's nothing in the sky, and so is your hand." Nanha is almost being laughed at by Fu Jin. How could anyone grab food so confidently and creatively? Fu Jin really wanted to eat, and Nanha didn't stop her again. He just frowned and reminded her to pay attention. Fu Jin responded with a few groans, while Nanha sat quietly watching her. As he watched, Nanha suddenly noticed the glaring chocolate stain on Fu Jin's shirt. "How about I take you to buy a few clothes after you finish eating?" Fu Jin, who was buried in hardship, nodded in agreement. In fact, if we exclude money and food, and then exclude male models and after-school bell, Fu Jin still likes to wear beautiful clothes. "I just didn't have any money before, and I couldn't buy beautiful clothes. As the saying goes, having money is capricious, but having no money means accepting one's fate." Even the white shirt and shorts that Fu Jin was wearing, when she learned that the demon lord had attacked the three heavens, she thought it would be strange to wear clothes she usually wore in the heavenly realm, so she specifically found a purchasing agent to help her buy them in the human world. Nowadays, it's surprising that long-term meal tickets offer beautiful clothes voluntarily. Don't waste them. Fu Jin happily accelerated his pace and swept away all the remaining food with a thunderous force. After finishing, don't forget to wipe your mouth with your dirty shirt. Nanha. I suddenly feel like it's unnecessary to buy clothes for her. What should I do? Nanha looked at Fu Jin's face, then at his clothes, and finally walked up the third floor of the mall with Fu Jin. The third floor is a specialized floor for selling women's clothing and accessories. Next to the escalator is a small counter selling sweet cone drinks and some other items. Nanha walked to the freezer with Fu Jin's scorching gaze, but did not buy the sweet cone that Fu Jin had been longing for. Instead, he bought a mask and turned around to give Fu Jin the chance to wear it. No way, Fu Jin is too eye-catching. Nanha counted at least 10 men he met along the way who were staring at Fu Jin intently. This is not even considered a girl, and there are countless girls staring at Fu Jin. Perhaps it's because the two of them are standing together, talented and beautiful. The man doesn't dare to come over and ask for WeChat, but there are quite a few girls who come to pay for today's WeChat. But they were all rejected by Fu Jin on the grounds of not having WeChat. There is no way, there is indeed no WeChat for payment today. Nanha originally wanted to buy a mobile phone for Fu Jin, but depending on the situation, he decided not to buy it to avoid making Fu Jin more expensive. He's just thinking about his current health, there's absolutely no other intention, really. But masks can only cover the mouth, not the face completely. Coupled with their excellent body proportions and their harmonious red hair, masks add even more mystery. Nanha still stands out with Fu Jin, and with Nanha dressed in a famous brand, they are warmly welcomed by the staff no matter which store they go to. Fu Jin is like a clothes rack again, everything looks good. After less than half an hour of shopping, the two of them have already bought 4 or 5 pieces of clothes. But just as Fu Jin went into the changing room again to change clothes, Nanha, who was sitting in the store waiting for Fu Jin, was recognized by someone. The two girls stood not far from the chair where Nanha was sitting, and their faint voices were heard by Nanha, who had a decent hearing. Is this that? Summer solstice. The summer solstice is the name of the male lead played by Nanha in the recently popular campus drama. Yes, it's him. His original name was Nanha. My new wall head recently. I didn't expect to meet you here. I'm also so handsome, right? Should we go and get a signature? Chapter 9. White skirt, red hair, green earrings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them hesitated and cheered each other for a while before finally walking towards Nanha. Nanha, can you sign for us? We really like you. We've watched all your new dramas. Nanha couldn't help but curl his lips and smile as he watched their nervous yet excited expressions. Taking off his sunglasses, his curved eyebrows and eyes were exposed in front of the person. The young man has handsome facial features, a perfect face shape, and a dazzling diamond earring in his left ear, adding a touch of unruly charm to his sunny and handsome demeanor. The little girl rushing ahead met the young man's flickering eyes so straightforwardly that she couldn't help but take a deep breath. The girl who followed behind, although not a fan of Nanha before, is now also handsome. When the book reaches its end, I hate it less. This brother is really mature. The clear voice of the young man rang out, bringing the two of them back to their senses from the shock of their beauty. Of course, where is the signature? Do you have a pen? This will make the two of them in a difficult situation. They have both graduated for a long time and have no pen or paper on their bodies. It doesn't matter, as long as the mind doesn't slide, there are always more solutions than difficulties. The girl standing in front of Nanha was ruthless and took out a lipstick from her bag. Well, I didn't bring a pen and paper. Can you use this to help me sign on the bag? After all, lipstick can be bought again, and Nanha cannot encounter it frequently. The bag she carried was an ordinary white canvas bag, so she didn't feel so distressed. Nanha looked at the lipstick and bag handed to him and nodded to take them. Youth characters are like their own, clear and beautiful. After Nanha finished writing, he handed it back to the girl, but she didn't pick it up and looked a bit embarrassed. Can you write another one on the opposite side? I'll give it to my best friend. Nanha decisively agreed. Of course, not a problem. Nanha lowered his head to write, and before he could finish writing a single character, he heard the exclamation of the little girls beside him. Nanha looked up and followed their gaze. The girl in front of me was wearing a white chiffon dress, with a flowing hem swaying slightly as she walked towards Nanha. Her slender waistline was clear, and her fair skin was not surpassed by the pure white dress. The girl's thick red wavy long hair casually draped over her shoulders, hot and charming. The mask was taken off at some point, revealing the beautiful face of the young girl. Nanha sat there dumbfounded, holding the unfinished canvas bag and lipstick in his hand, watching Fu Jin walk towards him step by step. The unique combination of white dress, red hair, and green earrings has deeply imprinted in the hearts of young people. Fu Jin walked up to Nanha and turned around, showing him his clothes. Does it look good? Nanha couldn't help but come to his senses when he heard Fu Jin's voice. It looks good. It's truly the dress I chose, and it really matches you. Fu Jin is clearly dissatisfied. Is this clearly my credit? Okay. What clothes don't look good on me? Indeed, Nanha cannot refute it. It should also look good to put Fu Jin in a burlap bag. What are you doing? Fu Jin just saw the canvas bag on Nanha's lap and the lipstick in his hand. Oh, this one, signing for fans. Signature. Xiao Qian, didn't he sign with a pen on paper when he signed? Why is he holding lipstick and a small bag? After half a day of sulking, Xiao Qian reluctantly spoke. You know what? You can write with anything that can write colors, not necessarily with a pen. Chapter 10. Misunderstanding Couples. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Didn't you also take a small stone picked up from the roadside to the white wall of the heavenly palace before and write, "Come here for a visit"? Isn't what you wrote also in Chinese characters? Through the example given by Xiao Qian, Fu Jin understood it in a moment. Looking at the two little girls standing beside Nan He. I thought I was just an ordinary customer, but I turned out to be a fan of long-term meal tickets. Two little girls were knocked down by Fu Jin's beauty and stood still. It wasn't until Nanha returned the signed canvas bag and lipstick to the little girl that she finally regained her voice. Beautiful sister. Hegi, you guys. Looking at Fu Jin and Nan He with the same red hair, the little girl seemed to have noticed something and was surprised that she didn't even hear her best friend's soft call from behind. Hurriedly and flustered, he patted his chest at the two people, promising. Don't worry, I will definitely not say it out. Fu Jin looked inexplicable. What a strange human. Nanha originally wanted to speak, but was interrupted by a few excited words from the little girl. I understand, you don't need to explain. Nanha looked up at Fu Jin, afraid that Fu Jin would get angry because someone misunderstood that the two were lovers. But then it was discovered that Fu Jin had no action at all, and there was no intention of opening his mouth to speak. Nanha was immediately misled by Fu Jin's attitude and his thoughts flew wildly. Does she like me? It must be. Otherwise, why wouldn't she speak? But we only met for a day, isn't that great? Hey, there's nothing I can do. Brother's charm is displayed here. Ha ha ha. Fu Jin and Xiao Qian didn't understand the situation, and Nanha didn't speak, but his red ears seemed to have already explained everything. The little girl naturally believed that the two were lovers. Couples shopping, they naturally don't want to disturb others anymore. The little girl is holding a canvas bag with Nanha's name written on it, randomly stuffing lipstick into it, turning her head and pulling her best friend, wanting to leave. After taking 2 steps, she realized that she hadn't started. She turned around in confusion, only to find that her social anxiety friend was standing still and not moving. What's wrong with you? Let's go, why aren't we leaving yet? Waiting for someone to send us a wedding invitation. Her best friend hesitated, her voice weak. Can we also have a signature for the beautiful sister? The little girl, who was still rushing, had a bright eye and turned around before standing back in front of Fu Jin. Yes. Of course I have to. If it weren't for her best friend reminding her, she wouldn't have thought of it. Nanha went to pay the bill, and Fu Jin was sitting on the chair that Nanha had just sat on. Originally, Fu Jin's principles of being able to sit and never stand, and being able to lie and never sit were almost collapsing on the chair. After all, after eating and drinking enough, and buying clothes, the next step should be to go to bed. I didn't expect to be shot back by these two little girls, and I was so scared that Fu Jin sat up straight again from his chair. Upon reflection, the two girls from before slowly leaned back and leaned back. She was scared to death. When she was attending development and order classes in various fields before, Fu Jin collapsed in a chair and was always caught by the teaching director. Even Fu Jin who caught her had a conditioned reflex. The little girl looked like she was almost turning into a pile of Fu Jin. I suddenly felt that this signature was not necessary. But looking at Fu Jin's upside-down face, coupled with his girlfriend constantly tugging at her sleeve behind her, the little girl still spoke. Beautiful sister, could you also sign for us? Then hand over the canvas bag and lipstick together to Fu Jin. Fu Jin didn't expect that he would still ask for his signature, but he still readily agreed.